Welcome, Ramley. How are my Rams super fans doing today? Today we're recapping the Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. Let's get right into it. Now the Rams won 26-17. Now this game was clearly a tale of two halves, as the Rams trailed in halftime 7-3. Yes, we only scored 3 points by halftime, but the Rams kicked it into full gear in the second half and outscored the Seahawks in the second half 23-10. Now let's get right into the offense and talk about our offensive possessions. Now we had 11 possessions on the night, scoring on 5 of 11 of those possessions, 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. Now we scored all 3 touchdowns and a field goal in the second half. Now even though we started the game scoring just 3 points, scoring once on 5 possessions in the first half, we would go on to score 23 points on 6 drives in the second half. It was really good to see the Rams get off to a slow start and not let that carry on throughout the game. Now let's get into our quarterback. Now Matthew Stafford finished the game going 25 for 37 for 365 yards, a touchdown and an interception. Now the first half for Stafford was pretty rough. Stafford missed a few throws. He seems to still be underthrowing a few receivers on that deep ball. Now I don't know if that's a chemistry issue or what, but that's something that definitely needs to be worked on and fixed, because we know the issue is in Matthew Stafford's arm strength, so I really don't know what the issue is. He also went on to throw a horrendous interception in the red zone. He basically went to throw the ball away, but instead of throwing the ball out of bounds, he threw the ball still in the field of play where he thought nobody could get it, but Diggs made a great toe tap interception. It was a real mental mistake. It was horrible. There's no sugarcoating that whatsoever. But then the second half came, and he finished the second half with 265 yards and a touchdown, also leading the Rams up and down the field on 4 scoring possessions. And just like that, the Stafford from the first 3 weeks is back. I've seen a lot of Rams fans really get on Stafford because of how he started the game, and I get it. It wasn't an easy sight to see, especially after how he played last game against the Cardinals. I even seen a few Rams fans saying that they missed Jared Goff. Now that's just crazy to me. Guys, he had a bad 6 quarters. 4 quarters against the Cardinals, 2 quarters against the Seahawks. But he bounced back and he won the game and he played phenomenal in the second half. Also, people just tend to forget the first 3 games of the season, where he was damn near perfect through 3 games. It's almost as if you guys expect Stafford to play perfect every game. Guys, that's not gonna happen. Look at Patrick Mahomes. He's in Kansas City struggling right now. It happens. The best quarterbacks in the NFL go through periods of time where they struggle. We just hope and pray that these periods of struggle is few and far between. Yes, it sucked that it came from a divisional opponent at home, but it happened, and we got over that. We went on the road to Seattle on a short week, and we started off slow, and we didn't let that determine the outcome of the game because we showed up in the second half, and that's what makes a good team a good team. That's what makes a good quarterback a good quarterback. Clearly has a short memory, because no matter how bad he played, it didn't affect him long term. He threw that horrible interception, but he didn't get in his head. He stayed mentally tough, and he came back in the second half ready to play ball, and that is why we traded 2 first-round picks for Matthew Stafford. I refuse to let you guys just shit on Matthew Stafford for having 1 bad game and a bad couple of quarters against the Seahawks. Not yet. He played horrible in those 6 quarters, but it's okay, guys. When it's time to shit on Matthew Stafford, I will be the first one leading the charge, but this is not the time. The guy damn near had the best passer rating in the NFL through 3 games. He has 1 bad game against the Cardinals, and he starts off a little slow against the Seattle Seahawks, and you guys are ready to trade him away? Like, just pump your brakes. And I know it's not everybody, it's only a small few, but that small few is, you know, the small few is the loudest. So please, guys, just calm down. Hey guys, I'm really eager to know what you guys think of Matthew Stafford's play. Drop a comment and let me know. Now let's talk about the wide receivers. You guys already know who I'm here to talk about. I told you guys in the last video that this guy needs to be peppered with more targets, and Sean McVay must have heard me. Matthew Stafford must have heard me, because that's exactly what happened. Robert Woods finished the game with 12 catches on 14 targets for 150 yards. He looked phenomenal. He looked unstoppable. Cooper Kupp also finished the game with 7 catches for 92 yards. This was a wonderful 1-2 punch. And you can't even be mad at Stafford for overly targeting Woods, because he seemed to be open on every play. I mean, the guy had 12 catches on 14 targets. He was clearly a 7-11, just open 24/7. In the last game, I got mad at Stafford for overly targeting Cooper Kupp. But the difference was when Kupp was receiving all those targets in the Arizona Cardinals game, half of the time he was covered, half of the time he was double teamed, and half of the time when he wasn't, it was just bad throws on Stafford's part. This time, Robert Woods was properly targeted. He was targeted when he was open, and when he was targeted, it was put in the right spot. This was a great outing by our receivers. Also, Deshaun Jackson only had one catch, but it seemed to be the play that turned things around for our offense. Now, Stafford underthrew Deshaun Jackson earlier in the game, and he underthrew him again here. But this time, Deshaun Jackson knew it was underthrown and made a phenomenal play on the ball, coming back to it, catching the ball, and running for 68 yards. It was a great play. We ended up scoring on that drive, and we pretty much was in control ever since. Now, let's talk our running backs. Both running backs played well, finishing with 119 yards on 28 carries. Now, Henderson led the way with 82 yards, and both Henderson and Sony Michel both got a touchdown each. No complaints here at all. I would have liked to see them get more touches, but when the Rams were passing the ball as good as they did in the second half, I don't blame Sean McVay for leaning on the pass a little more. Now let's talk the offensive line. Now the offensive line gave up a sack and 3 quarterback hits, but it was kind of weird to see, seeing that the Rams probably seen more pressure this game than they did all season. And with that being said, the Rams offensive line still played great. This really might be the best unit in football. Through 5 games, the Rams have given up 4 sacks. That's phenomenal. I'm telling you guys, as long as this offensive line is healthy, this offense is gonna roll. And the only thing that's gonna stop our offense is horrible play by Matthew Stafford. And I don't care what you guys say, I don't see horrible play by Matthew Stafford happening often. And before we get into our defense, if you guys could just take a second to like this video, hit subscribe, click that bell notification button so you'll always be notified when I upload a new video, and go ahead and follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I really appreciate that. Now let's talk the Rams front 7. Now they played pretty well this game. They held running back Alex Collins to 47 yards on 3.1 yards per carry. They only gave up a total of 92 yards on the ground, and they also finished the game with 2 sacks and 5 quarterback hits. And overall, they did a pretty good job containing the mobile quarterbacks. Aaron Donald came into this game needing a sack to break the all-time Rams sack record, and he did just that. He looked phenomenal in this game. Vintage Aaron Donald. Got pressure pretty much all game. A couple quarterback hits. He was able to sack the quarterback once, and he also made the play to knock Russell Wilson out of the game. Now that's not something I'm rooting for. I never like to see injuries occur. But at the same time, this is exactly why Russell Wilson had a beef with the Seahawks in the beginning of this offseason. You guys got to learn to protect this man. He sees Aaron Donald twice a year. Nobody has sacked Russell Wilson more than Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald continues to terrorize him. Now I don't think the Seattle Seahawks will ever let go of Russell Wilson. But man, they better do something, because this is going to get really ugly if they don't start protecting that man. And before we get off the front 7, I know Aaron Donald is now the sole owner of the Rams all-time leading sack record, but I would be doing the viewer an injustice if I didn't mention that Aaron Donald realistically is probably sitting at number 3 right now, behind Merlin Olsen and Deacon Jones for the Rams all-time sack record. It just so happens to be that sacks weren't being counted when they were playing, but if they were, I think Deacon Jones would have had like 160 sacks or 140 sacks or something along those lines. He would more likely than not be the all-time NFL sack leader, period. Now normally right here I like to talk about the secondary, but we're going to save that for a little later. Let's talk the Rams special teams. Now this was a pretty bad outing for Matt Gay. Not only did he miss a PAT, but he missed the entire field on a kickoff. Twice. This is the very reason why I made such a big deal about Matt Gay being perfect throughout the first few games of the season. When our kickers are perfect, we have to appreciate it, because it's not going to happen every week. This was a bad outing. I could get over the missed PAT, but to kick the ball out of bounds twice is crazy. Now I used to play soccer back in the day. I feel like the Rams could pay me to kick the ball off, and worst case scenario, I'm going to at least keep the ball in the field. I mean, that is frankly just unbelievable, and you cannot justify that in any way. You have to do better. Also, at this point, I'm just convinced that Tutu Atwell probably shouldn't be returning punts or kicks for us. Now, the opening kickoff, he takes it, he runs, he stumbles over his own feet, he falls on the ground, he fumbles the ball out of bounds, and does all of this while not getting touched by a single defender. Sean McVay doesn't like to play his rookies that much, and as we're seeing this happen, you kind of don't blame him. Tutu Atwell has only had a few chances to show us something. He hasn't really done much but show us mistake after mistake. I think it might be time for the Rams to look at other options when returning kickoffs. Now let's talk about the concerns that I have. It's simple, guys. The secondary. Everybody not named Jalen Ramsey. Darius Williams didn't play great. David Long Jr. got benched for his play in the Arizona Cardinals game. We start rookie Robert Rochelle. Robert Rochelle made 2 horrible plays that led to both Seattle Seahawks touchdowns. I was really hoping the Rams made a play for Stephon Gilmore, but as you see, that didn't happen, so ain't really much sense of even talking about it. But the Rams need help in that secondary, and I honestly don't know what it is. Robert Rochelle didn't play horrible the whole game, but he made 2 of the biggest rookie mistakes ever. A lot of people were saying, oh, on that deep pass to Lockett, if he didn't hit him and cause pass interference, Lockett was just going to catch it and run into the end zone. He wasn't that far off. If he could hit him to cause pass interference, he could have kept running with him and waited for Tyler Lockett to catch the ball and then hit him. Maybe jarring the ball out, not necessarily just giving him the free play, which led to a touchdown. And then on the second touchdown, I don't know what he did. He just completely misjudged the ball in the air and stopped for a second, turned around, and Metcalf is in the end zone with Robert Rochelle nowhere near him. It's hard to watch. Darius Williams isn't doing much better. Taylor Rapp seems to be on the wrong end of a lot of deep passes. Jalen Ramsey is the only person that's really doing much. And I think this whole playing Jalen Ramsey in the slot and moving him around is cool and it's funny and it's great to see something new, blah, 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 blah. But now we're a quarter into the season, and I want to see Jalen Ramsey on the best player. I want to see Jalen Ramsey just take the best player on the opposing offense out of the game. This whole experiment thing is cool while it lasted, but I think our defense and specifically our secondary played better when Jalen Ramsey just takes away their number one option. When Jalen Ramsey takes away the number one option, I feel like our secondary probably plays better. I want to see us go back to that. Will we go back to that? I don't know. Time will tell. Also, another concern that I have is Stafford's deep ball. Now, we all know Stafford has amazing arm strength, but he's underthrowing that deep ball a lot. Every game, he throws a few deep balls that are completely underthrown. Now, I don't know if this is a huge cause for concern because the Rams still do lead the NFL in most plays over 40 yards. So we're still having the most explosive plays, but whatever that number is, it could probably double based on the amount of underthrown balls Matthew Stafford has thrown. Now, I'm not panicking on that deep ball, but it's definitely something we got to keep our eye on. Like I said, I don't believe it's Matthew Stafford's arm strength, but if it's not his arm strength, then it must be the chemistry he has with these receivers. I don't know why that would be the case, seeing that they had an entire offseason and training camp together, but I don't know. This has to be fixed. Definitely, let's keep an eye on this going forward in the coming weeks. And am I missing anything, guys? Is there any concerns that you guys have? If there is a concern that you guys have that I didn't mention, let me know in the comments. Now let's end this on a positive note. After the Rams got embarrassed by the Arizona Cardinals, we traveled to Seattle on a short week in one of the hardest places to play against a divisional rival, and we got the win. Even in this game, we could have crumbled in the first half after having drive after drive after drive just stall out on us. But instead, we stayed the course, and in the second half, we came back and we pretty much scored at will. And like I said earlier, I am a little concerned with the Rams secondary, but the offense is not a concern of mine whatsoever, and it shouldn't be a concern of yours. Now, I know Seattle isn't the best defense. I think they're actually the lowest ranked defense in the NFL, and some people are concerned by how we started the game off against such a bad defense. Even in the first half, we wasn't scoring much points, but we were still moving the ball up and down the field. We just had a few issues finishing the drives off, whether it was a missed field goal, whether it was an interception. It was really ugly football in the first half. In the second half, we kind of showed what would happen when we get it together, and that's exactly what happened. Matthew Stafford is not something to worry about. The thing about Matthew Stafford is even when he's making bad passes, and the passes are a little high, or a little off to the left or the right, or a little low, or a little underthrown, they're always the right decision for the most part. Even when he makes a bad throw, it was still an open receiver. The throw was just a little off. I don't expect him to continuously make bad throws throughout the rest of this year. Even when he overthrew Tutu Atwell on one of those third downs, I think it might not have just been a bad throw. I think maybe Stafford thought he was running a corner route and Tutu was running an out route, so it was overthrown a little bit. It seemed like there might have been a communication error there. Either way, I don't see poor decisions by Stafford. There might be a few poor throws, but there's very rarely poor decisions from Stafford. Obviously, his interception was a very poor decision, but even in that, it was a right decision to throw the ball away. You just got to throw the ball away better than what you did. And I think that's the difference between Stafford and Goff. There were several times during the last few seasons where Jared Goff just made poor decisions. Then when you add that with poor throws, you're in for a world of trouble. Stafford doesn't make many poor decisions. There are a few poor throws. I don't expect that to occur throughout the rest of the season. I think he'll get it together. I think the chemistry with his receivers will develop, and I think you'll see a lot less poor throws from Stafford as the season goes on. Stafford is not something you guys should worry about at all. And guys, really quick, before we get into the play of the game, if you could just stop what you're doing and like this video, comment, let me know what you guys think of everything. And if you could follow me over on Instagram and Twitter, I really appreciate it. And now let's give out the Rams Superfan Game Ball. Now this shouldn't come as a shock to anybody. The Rams Superfan Game Ball goes to none other than Robert Woods. Finished the game with 12 catches, 150 yards, and it was pretty much open on every single play. The man played amazing, and it was really good to know that he could get 14 targets and catch the ball 12 times, and Cooper Kupp can still do what he does and get 7 catches for 92 yards. It was great to see them both working together. But Robert Woods was on a whole nother level this game. I hope it continues as we move on to next week and play the New York Giants. Guys, I'm also attending the New York Giants game this week. So the recap video for the Rams and the Giants will probably look a little different. I'm probably gonna do like a vlog style where I, kind of recap my travels to and from New York and show you guys how the stadium is and show you guys my view and just kind of give you like behind the scenes on my trip. I might record the whole thing and it might be trash and I might scrap it all. But if it does come out good, I'll be posting that. So the recap video will be a little different. So be on the lookout for that. I'm very excited. This is actually the first time I've been able to see the Rams in person for a few years because of COVID. So I'm really looking forward to that. And also, guys, I'm not giving you guys an NFC update today because the Rams played on Thursday and I'm actually recording this video before the Sunday game, so I don't know what's gonna happen. But hopefully those Cardinals lose. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you like what you see and you're interested in more Rams content, please watch this video right here.